Hello, Earthlings. Hello, Kabbalists. Can you hear?
Hello.
Everybody good?
I think
Yeah.
so.
Oh
Yeah,
my
we
God,
can
David
hear
Mancini is
each
here.
other.
Hello, David.
No, he's
Respect.
not.
Hello. I
Wow,
see
been a long
also
time.
Mihaela and Lynn and Sylvie and Akai and Julie and Patricia and Martin and Tangalora from Michigan.
Hmm.
That's a new name
I
for
feel
me on
bad.
this
I
chat.
feel bad for
Yeah.
the other 980 people who are going to see this, but are going to miss the beginning. So, but I'll see. That's on them. That each one of us has our special corrections in this world, and so some will take slower and some will
Yeah.
take longer. But here we are. Gents, great to be back once again, everybody.
Yeah.
This is the Great Transition. We are students of the Kabbalist, Rav Michael Lightman. We study the authentic wisdom of Kabbalah, the method of Bala Sulam, uh, and we are interested in a much better life than we have now. All of us caught some disease, you can say, some virus at some young age where we couldn't rest. We need to know uh, what is going on with our life, and it led us through many, many things until we ended up at the authentic wisdom of Kabbalah. Yet we all came from secular backgrounds and have a lot of connections to family and normal things. And so we also, because of who we are, you can't throw all that away. So what about life? Well, what about all these people? What about all these
Yeah.
countries? What about all this other stuff? Like what's the purpose of all this? And so
Yeah,
thus you have
I
these
gotta
three
say,
friends.
you inspired something. I gotta jump in here. The I 3 weeks ago, I think I was I told you guys I was invited to give a I gave an interview to a documentary.
Mm.
They're doing
You told us. I don't know if you told the
the
audience.
yeah. Anyway, there was a documentary. Someone is doing a documentary about the simulation hypothesis. They wanted Kabbalah's input on it, and our teacher Michael Lightman would probably do a better job, but they wanted an English speaking interview, so I went, and it was an interesting conversation. One of the things that was brought up in the very beginning when I started speaking about how Kabbalah allows you to explore the meaning of life, purpose of life, and which essentially is coming out of the simulation. That's that these things are intertwined. There is a simulation. It's not generated by a
Right.
computer, but something is happening here, and we're not seeing the whole of reality. Anyway, long story short, what I'm trying to say is this: the director interviewed me, so he says something like, "How do you how does it feel to put yourself out of this place of comfort, to start to ask yourself about what's the meaning of all this?" And I'm like, I just realized how opposite this is. I'm like, listen, if I don't ask that from a very young age, I realized that if I don't engage in that question, I can't live. Like this is my comfort.
Uh,
This is what makes
Mhm.
me, what
Yeah.
allows me to live and breathe. The fact that I can engage in that, because otherwise I don't feel like So it's so interesting how when that
totally.
desire speaks in a person, it raises us really to a completely different mindset. Anyway, so yeah, just felt like saying that. Go
Yeah,
Mm.
ahead,
so
man.
we
Go ahead.
caught we got the
Yeah.
virus early on.
The
And
virus,
Yeah.
yeah.
yeah. So we're we're living in a spiritual reality now. All of us are living in a spiritual reality where everything is taking place at once.
How are you
Okay? You sent
discover?
us you
How did you just revealed everything to everyone? No, I'm kidding.
you actually last night or the night
It's okay.
before
It's okay.
in the study of the 10 Sefirot lesson, you sent us a message like it was a quote from Tas, I think that
Mm.
said something right along these lines. Do you have that quote? Can you find it? It's like one or two lines, but if you
I'll,
can,
I'll, yeah.
can you find it there?
Mm.
Should I look
Maybe,
for it?
maybe. Yeah.
It's in our chat.
Is it though? But did I? Was
Put
it
you
a
on the
quote
spot.
from the? In Hebrew. Yeah, in Hebrew.
Yeah, so read it
Yes,
to us
yes.
in
So
English.
it says when we come to a point where
This is
uh,
from Talmud Esser Sefirot by
okay,
Baal Sulam's commentary on the Tree of Life by the
yeah.
Ari.
When we come to a point where these matters are revealed, it's the context is spiritual matters, then all times appear at once.
Right. So
Yeah.
we, in this existence, experience
Yeah.
everything sequentially, one after another.
Mm-hmm.
Why? Let's explore that for a second. So the spiritual vibration, that's what we're going to work with
Ooh,
today, where
spiritual
everything is
vibration.
permeating everything and everything is taking place at once, is very dulled by the time we feel it. It's dulled by what's called spiritual worlds. So the spiritual worlds dull that vibration billions and billions of
Yeah.
time.
Maybe you just
So
give the
much.
Hebrew of it for as well, like what worlds, concealments, that worlds.
the-
Because worlds, when we say worlds in the wisdom of Kabbalah, it sounds like, we're used to a world being like a vast place with a bunch of people and plants and animals. Worlds in the wisdom of Kabbalah comes in Hebrew, the word is olamot, which is a derivative of ha'alamot. It means concealments. So the spiritual frequency, as Seth called it, is dulled, is the right way to say it, by 5 levels of concealment, like filters on it. Yeah, that reduce it. Yeah.
So in
Is
the
that
introduction to the book of Zohar, Bala Sulam talks about these spiritual worlds and says that all of the phenomenon that take place in Ein Sof, in where everything is just one, everything taking place at once, all of those spiritual objects and all those spiritual phenomena are taking place in the world of Atzilut and in the world of Bria, in each and every spiritual world, all the way even down to our world. What's the difference? Just how dull they are. It's not like all the way up there's a lot more spirituality going on, and down here there's a lot less. Each and every connection and each and every spiritual object that's in all of the spiritual worlds is also here just much, 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 billions and billions and billions and billions of times duller, so that a human creature who lives inside of a piece of hardware, let's call this, which is made mostly of carbon. So inside of this protein hardware, a person is able to develop, to do some things, to develop internally to feel infinite spiritual vibrations. So, yeah. So actually, it's not as
Nice.
if it's not as if like consciousness is evolving. Like as we go through our incarnations and as we go through history, humanity, our consciousness is developing and we're becoming more conscious. What's actually happening is that a creature is being formed out of clay, out of carbon, and through a lot of experiences. A creature is being formed that's capable of perceiving. It's just a better computer. It's a better radio. We're becoming a creature is formed who's capable of perceiving the unified field of everything, who's capable of perceiving the eternal love that permeates all of reality. Many, 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 many years ago, when I was an orangutan, in my previous self, I didn't have the senses to feel that. But through all of the generations and through all of these interactions that we do and exercises that we do, a person is given the opportunity to develop that. So everything in reality emanates from the creator, and everything in the universe is vibrating, but it's just dulled down. So even when we see a mountain, right, nobody would disagree that a mountain is not moving. It's there. It's been there for 50,000 years. And I can, if I fall, I'll break my ankle on it. It's hard, but actually it's oscillating, it's resonating, it's vibrating, all matter. And I'm sure modern science is real clear about how they describe this. All matter is actually vibrations, it's waves. So even though we
That's
learn,
first of all, that's wait a second.
I
When
know
you
it's
just say
hours
something like
right there,
that,
right?
that's a little bit crazy. Well, I mean, first of all, you can hear those words, but they kind of just like words,
Yeah.
like kind of like what you guys mentioned earlier at the beginning. You get the virus, right? Whenever a person gets the virus, they also get the hint, and we talk about concealments and worlds. They also get the hint that there is something hidden from them. Like, wait a second, no, I'm not. It's not good. I'm not good
Right.
with what's here in front of me.
Yep.
I need to go on a search and find the thing that's hidden from me. They don't know what's hidden. They don't know even where to look. But there's kind of that feeling. So
This
also
is
when
a
you say
bit,
everything is
just a
vibrate, yeah, go.
quick one. This is something that is shared uh, by by all the people in the world, all the people in mankind who have some spiritual inclination that awakens in them, and that is the revelation of concealment. You realize, you reveal that you are under some sort of concealment. That's actually what makes the difference, and it's a revelation. It's nothing less than a revelation. You recognize that your senses don't perceive the whole of reality, that there is some other realm of reality that you can't yet fully perceive, but you can touch the walls of it, sort of. You can touch the boundaries of it. You can touch it from the outside, and you feel that it's there through this awakening within you. And that already sort of elevates all of the people who have that awakening to a certain kind of connection between them, whether they
They're
know each other or
scientists.
not, you know? Yeah. So
Yeah,
we
They're
totally.
stopped
scientists.
Chris right in the middle there, but yeah, I just anyway.
No, I just but before we start talking, before we said the word vibration over and over again, or waves or whatever, like a person can hear that and they can get the science of it or whatever, and it maybe I just don't think that a person really can identify with it. So
Okay, take
we should at least probably mention what
yeah, sorry.
we should at least probably mention that that the vibration, scientists say that everything has its own frequency, right, depending on what structure it has, what kind of atoms make up whatever it is that we're talking about. But it's the vibration is still some physical phenomenon, right? But if you want to talk about this like thing that's concealed, then actually we're talking about spiritual qualities. Everything has like a quality to it. Whenever scientists talk about whatever it is they can see, feel, measure, they're basically talking about the vibrations by whatever they can measure in the physical world. But whenever Kabbalists talk about spiritual phenomena, they're not talking about specifically vibrations where you can take an instrument and measure a vibration, and then you've caught kind of that spiritual element with the spiritual vibrations, right? So anyways, I'm sure we're going to get into it. We're only
So
15 minutes in, but we'll get to it.
scientists can measure. A scientist can show you that something that seems like it's not moving at all is actually moving. And we have all kinds of incredible science now to look at that makes all kinds of things happen, like cell phones and just magical stuff to behold, like to see that a mountain is actually a bunch of vibrations and not you know what it would be like, just so people can grasp onto something. Remember when you're a kid, we did this, like you like spin a towel or something like that, and then no one can get close to you, or you like put something on the end of a rope and you spin it so fast that I'm trying to think of like what would be an example of that. If you put like a rock on the end of a rope and like spun it so fast, like nobody can get close to you because it's as if the rock is making a wall around you if you spin it fast enough.
Right. But it's
Okay,
actually
so
only at a single definite place
right, and if
at
you
every
like
point
the
in time.
Matrix movie when you dodge a
Yeah.
bullet,
Yeah. Yeah.
exactly. So even though we have all of the science, as you're saying, the majority of the vibrations emanating from the creator, meaning 99.9999999 billion times more, are above us, are above physics, are above measuring. That's why actually when we talk about this disease, that we catch the spiritual disease, it doesn't, you could be a physicist who discovers that a mountain is actually waves. You may be very far from reaching the spiritual perception of it versus a regular, a person who's just has a day job somewhere could, because there's some
Right.
other feeling inside which isn't dependent on how smart you are or how much you studied
and
physics
and it's
in order
not
to.
based on measuring any physical material thing in reality. That's a big thing. Yeah. Okay. Go ahead.
Yeah, I want to build up and then kind of drop you guys off a cliff. So we have another problem, and then watch how you fly. So we have another problem
Yeah.
that
We like problems. Bring them on. Yeah. More problems,
when we
please.
look at the world, we see that it's full of troubles. Okay?
Oh,
I
boy.
was going to say when I was like coming up with what to say here, I was going to write, and most people are totally stupid. But I don't want to say that. Most people are confused. Okay? So we have a problem about what's going on in life and what's happening with us, what processes we're going through. So we have a problem because when we use classical physics, meaning like we're going to kill Stalin, we're going to kill 100 million people, and then we'll get them to finally understand what we need to, or any of these guys. It's using classical physics to enact change on Earth hasn't really worked out. Classical physics, meaning like on a billiards table, I'm going to hit this ball, it's going to hit that ball, it's going to do that, and then I'm going to get the ball in the hole.
Okay, okay.
So
Let me
like
add some. I understand what you mean. I want to make sure that we're all
Okay.
on the same page with our audience as well.
Okay.
You're basically saying, Seth, that the thinking of our you call it classical physics or like but you mean more general, right? Like our linear mind, our rationale, like how our reason works, which is this thing influences this thing, and then this
We're going to raise some money, we're going to make a
right,
committee, we're
and
gonna
then a
recycle the
result,
plastic, we're
right?
going to do that.
And like
Yeah.
so the chain of events for some cause to get from some cause to a consequence, to get from A to B, is something that has to be understood by our reason and by our minds. That is what you call like classical physics as an attitude, right? This
Right.
is like
And it's a
things that
big
we can.
problem.
It's a big problem because the world
big
doesn't
problem for
really,
us.
reality doesn't actually work that way, and we
Because we said
think
in
it
spirituality, everything's happening at once. And only from this tiny, tiny perspective that's dulled billions and billions of times, it seems to us things are happening
Okay.
sequentially.
Okay, so let me add more words to it again. Just so all of reality, including all that exists, already exists in spirituality. That
Past,
includes
present, future.
past, present, future, all of reality, anything that can happen. We're living in there is some thought beyond our perception that holds everything that exists and existed before and will exist and might exist. Everything is already contained in a single thought. And for us, we perceive and experience like a very tiny, limited, narrow sliver of reality within a limited perception within time and space. Right? So that's like and that's how we judge, and that's where we're
Yes,
Yeah.
exactly.
that's where we're at.
Yeah.
Okay.
Exactly.
Yeah.
Okay, thank you for translating me. Another problem.
Okay.
Let me just add another problem on top of this. We're not supposed to suffer. Even the Kabbalists will say it's forbidden to suffer because the Kabbalists who attained these degrees that we're talking about and wrote to us about them are very clear that the Creator is good, and the only thing that emanates from there is
I think
only
we have to
good.
define creator. Say a word about what you mean when you say creator, because this can
Whatever
be
that spiritual,
easily.
let's just let everyone just dream as big as possible. Okay,
Okay.
that whatever this infinite field of love connection, we use the word creator.
Okay.
I don't know, but I don't want to get
You
into
don't want
I
to
didn't make
go
the
deeper.
universe. Something else did. Somebody else made all that stuff that's around. So
Okay.
whoever did that,
So
Let's
can we
attribute
say?
that.
Can
Yeah.
we say just to avoid religious misconceptions, because Kabbalah is not speaking from a religious context, and yet a word like creator or God or things like that are also invoked in religion. So we can replace even that word with, say, the totality of nature,
Nature.
or all of
Fine.
nature, or right? Okay, the program of
Yeah.
nature, the guiding program of reality. Okay.
So those spiritual scientists who performed these experiments and reached out, felt what's outside of their protein carbon body to the other vibrations that are outside of that Chris was talking about, that most of it is outside of there. They say that it's all good. Everything that's emanating there is good and eternal. So if we are suffering, we're not in touch with that. And the whole purpose of our lives is to be in that, not to be this small, suffering, wretched creature.
Right.
Okay? So what I want to do now is start small with small examples and then try and build this concept to see if we can actually understand what immense power is in our hands right now and how actually close a good future and a good solution is to us if we move away from this monkey thinking of sequential classical physics, I called it before, into some kind of spiritual understanding. So let's start really close to home. When bats communicate with each other, they use the frequencies that they emit are very fast and very short. So much so that they can detect something as thin as like a piece of hair flying and they can dodge around it. Bats, okay? Elephants on the other hand, but those waves stop. They're not very strong.
Say that again. What can bats do?
A bat emits it's called echolocation or whatever it's called, whatever they
Oh,
use, sonar, I
right,
don't know what it's
right,
called.
right. So
So the way that they can navigate and get around things in the dark is
is
because they emit these waves
from
and
the
it bounces
feedback,
back.
from the bouncing waves that are sound waves that are bouncing
they-
back.
Right. And it's but what I want to point out here is that the frequency of the waves, they're small waves and very fast waves. So they can detect something like the size of a hair. Okay?
Right. So they
Elephant.
they can detect. I think shorter wavelengths is probably the
Right.
accurate way to
That's
say it,
okay.
which we can
Waves.
perceive.
Invisible waves. If you watch a bat and he dodges something that's in him in the middle of the night, and you say, how does he
Right.
do that? He does it
Right.
by vibrations. He
Which
does
you
it by
don't feel.
vibrations
Which you don't
that
feel.
you don't feel,
Right.
but they're there, that a small mouse with wings feels a certain vibration. So what I want to
Right.
point out is that there are
Massive one.
vibrations that exist even here.
Nice. Yeah.
Okay. Now an elephant also, didn't invent the cell phone. Could be very nice, but not that advanced of a creature. But he can communicate. His waves are the way that elephants can communicate. Huge waves. His waves are so big that they can go over trees and mountains. A bat can't communicate with another bat who's 10 kilometers away, but an elephant can because his waves are so big, right? And so long. They're lower frequency waves. But the point is, here's another creature on the other side of the scale. You have a really, really small animal with small waves and a really, really big animal emitting big waves. And every animal in between, there's so many different frequencies, and not only the animals, also the flora. Okay? I want to show one more thing. I'm hoping everyone's like, wow, that's very interesting. Let me show you this as well. This is sound. What I want to do here is just start with waves that can be perceived and measured here, even though we don't feel it.
Right.
And then we want to imagine what we're actually talking about and what unlocking that understanding can do for
Okay.
us.
Just
Okay.
just an
So-
intermediate comment
Okay.
here. Chris, don't you love it when Seth describes to us the life of animals? There's something about how
very
he
close to
does it.
There's no
feel it.
doubt that he's just all day walking around, just like it's just one of those people that's just observant, like some people are just walking because they always tells a story. I was walking down the street and I saw this and this. I'm walking down the street, I don't see anything, so
I'm
this guy,
specifically Seth describing describing animals is one of the things I love.
he's
the
got an
most
animal example
about,
every time.
about this show.
Yeah, it's great.
Yeah.
He loves it.
I think it's because I feel them.
Yeah.
Okay, so
That's cool.
all right, so let me show you this. This is just about vibration, and hopefully not my work, but
We talk
my
about
computer.
Yeah,
Okay,
there it
see
is.
this?
I know this.
All right, watch this. Okay, so this is a metal
Yeah, this is
plate
great.
that's
This is great.
connected to a frequency generator. I'll show you the frequency.
And this is
generator.
sand,
Yeah,
right? They're pouring sand on the
Yeah,
plate.
Or
exactly.
salt, maybe.
Yeah, whatever it is.
So they're
So
changing
they're gonna
frequencies.
send sand, salt, whatever it is on this plate. Now they're going to vibrate that metal plate by using a tone generator. Do we need to
Yeah.
show the page so that we
Yeah,
don't
maybe
get
just say where it's from, give it credit,
okay, otherwise they'll ban our channel. So this is Bruspup. Okay,
Thanks,
everybody, can you go
Bruce.
full screen again?
right.
Okay,
And we are
watch.
All right, we're going to
giving
500 hertz.
okay.
Oh, 345. Oh, look at
Oh
that.
my god. So amazing.
That's actually I've seen this 1,000 times, and it's like I'm looking at
Yeah.
it at a new right now, right? It's weird.
Right. So
It's new to
cool.
me all of a sudden.
Yeah.
So what
Just
this is saying is
this
that
yeah.
right now, when we're listening to music, or when you hear the wind blow, or when there's the cacophony of sounds in the city, it's affecting your blood, all the water in you. It's affecting the plants around
Right.
you.
Sure.
All of these things, there's this symphony of responses happening on so many layers to all of
Right.
us all the time.
And the
Wow,
crazy
look at all
thing
this. Oh, that
is
reminds me. Oh, we all
Yeah.
want to say something. Go. So.
you first, I remember.
Okay, I was gonna say that I just recently came across a song that was created by like a group of neuroscientists, and it is scientifically shown to lower stress and to like lower your like cortisol levels if you listen to it, just because they've like found the exact sounds that calm a person down. So yeah, there you go. What were you gonna say?
The crazy thing, first of all, that's cool. Send it. Let's see what it's about.
Yeah.
I'm saying I'm looking at these patterns being created by essentially we're seeing how sound waves organize particles of sand, right? In some very harmonious ways, in very organized ways. You can see order here. You can see organizations. You see patterns, and then you think
Oh
about
my
how.
God, look at that.
Yeah.
1, 2, 3, 4, 5, 6, 7, 8, 9. That's incredible.
Yeah, incredible.
How these numbers are built into nature.
Right,
Into just
then-
frequency.
exactly, and the crazy thing is, this is all over this is happening. This is just an example of what's happening throughout reality all the time. In every sense, nature is not this random kind of blur. There are patterns, and there are interactions between things, creating patterns that we're not even aware of. And our
Yeah.
back to your initial point, our linear minds or classical approach to reality doesn't take into account so much that is going on that we don't even know. Yeah.
Mm-hmm.
Anyways.
Well, yeah.
All right.
Yeah, you can't.
All right.
Yeah,
So
it's too
yeah.
much.
So good
All right.
job with this example. What? Where do you want us to take it?
Where are we going? First of all, okay. So right now, I'm very interested because I understand that there's waves around me. Okay, and I'm either ignoring them or I don't feel them. And so we started off talking about getting the virus. So where are we right now? What do I need to do with these
Imagine
vibrations?
that you take a small electric generator, whatever that is, and connect it to a metal plate, and you can make those incredible geometric patterns by something that you bought for $30 from the electronics store. Imagine, please, my friends, what love from your heart, if you connected, vibrated towards someone. Imagine what it actually creates between you two. Imagine what is emanated from you. Imagine if you could measure the shapes. Imagine if you could measure the response, not of a $30 piece of metal and wires and welding that came from the electronics store, but from you who've developed for billions of years, and you're this emotional creature. Okay?
Mm.
So why are we all feeling so shitty? Why are we stuck in this reality if that's the case? If an elephant can communicate over a mountain, like, shouldn't I be able to also somehow tell you I love you, or communicate with you, or feel you over a mountain? if a bat can see something so small, shouldn't I be able to detect huge problems
Right.
in front of me that I'm blind to, right? And there's
Right, right. So I mean, the I think, and a person who just a person off the street, like any average person, will kind of say, okay, but humans have technology. I mean, that's our way to communicate beyond mountains. That's our way to look at what's happening right now. We've built this whole digital sphere where we can connect all of mankind above geography, above time zones. And here we can, so technology is the way, what we know as technology. But we're talking about this is the linear mind. This is classical physics. This is like this is just the ordinary approach where it's like, okay, I have to build a microphone, and then that microphone will carry my sound waves and convert them to digital signals, and then it'll go into my computer and blah 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 until it reaches your speakers. And uh, uh, that is just using our ordinary. I'm gonna introduce another word here that maybe we can expand on. That is just using our linear, ordinary, egoistic reason. Meaning we're not changing anything about ourselves here. We're not revealing, unearthing, uncovering new sensations, new vibrations, new emotions within us. We're not finding any new frequencies in human perception. We're just building some crutches, essentially, within this world, in the form of a microphone that connects to a computer, that connects to undersea cables, that connects to your speakers ultimately, and then we can communicate.
Essentially,
right?
essentially as a result of concealment. If you want to go back to concealment, why do we have to use these rudimentary, as if like very primitive? Even though we're talking about microphone technology, it's so it almost feels primitive when you're talking about connecting wires and sending electricity, right? And as opposed to like having this higher level of some kind of like technology
Right.
that we're not using.
Right. So basically, I'm going to take a leap here, and maybe then we can connect the two worlds, right? What Kabbalists are telling us and teaching us is how to awaken within us another kind of technology, another kind of frequency, access a certain frequency within us, where we can that makes the current technology that we're using right now and we're used to just feel primitive, like completely. It's incomparable. It's not even close, because there is a way to connect to all of reality, to the thought that governs everything that exists. Ultimately, there is some frequency. We need to talk about what that is and what that means, but there is some thread, invisible wave, that all of reality is constantly moving to according to. Just like we see how sound organizes the sand, human beings, animals, planets, atoms, everything in reality dances according to some sort of a vibration, some sort of a frequency, and that frequency is accessible to human beings. Not through our five senses, though, but it's accessible. That's what we're saying. That's what we're putting on the table.
Oh.
Yeah, okay.
right.
Well,
Whoa. So let's leave the frequency on the side for a minute, because the frequency that you just described doesn't change.
Right.
It's there.
And when we say doesn't change,
then-
it doesn't mean that it's not moving. Maybe doesn't change means that it's infinitely changing, but it's quality.
We can't knock
Yeah.
it, or blow at it and make it do something else, right? It is doing
Exactly.
its
Yeah.
thing.
Yeah.
Okay.
And
So
we're moving
then,
according to it. It makes us dance in a certain and organize in a certain way.
All of nature. Yeah,
Just
all
like
of nature.
yes.
okay,
Plants
slow
blooming,
it down. Hold on.
people moving,
Slow it
you
down.
doing things, everything is moving according. Okay, go ahead. Yeah.
Slow it down.
Slower, slowing down.
Okay. So if that force is permeating everything and doesn't change, or is eternally changing, it is what it is, and we're not going to affect it by blowing on it, trying to punch at it or throw money at it. It doesn't affect it. So then the part of creation, of reality, that does change is us. That's the part that changes. That's the only part that changes. So here comes the problem and the solution. There's two things that we have to talk about. One is the creation of us, and then the next thing is what has to happen to us, because in order to create a creature that can feel that eternality, right? Like I said many years ago, when I was an orangutan in a previous life, I couldn't feel much. I was very dull to all of those things. It was right. And even before that, when I was an amoeba, and before that, when I was just gas, I didn't have the form to feel all these different emotions. But developing through the billions of years, now the protein and the carbon organizes into such a way that you have a creature who then it needs. Okay, this is what I'm trying to say. The creature had to develop and develop to be like this in order to become a creature that can perceive that. So now we have this body, this human being who's capable now of being able to perceive that. But what happened in the process of becoming so big, what happened in the process of becoming more than all the monkeys, what happened in the process of becoming more than all the plants, what happened in the process of becoming someone who needs eternity, we everything became in relation to into ourself. We became a conscious creature that wants to take everything in for ourselves. So it's like a double-edged sword here, because we had to develop to be so great that we want eternity, endless love, but becoming that big and wanting all of that for ourselves completely disconnects us from eternality. And
Right.
now comes the second
And
part. The first part was creating us to get to this big that we want eternality. And now comes what Rabash calls the correction of creation, where now we have a creature that's capable of feeling eternality, but now it needs to go through a special process called tikkun, where it can turn that whole thing inside out and discover the eternality inside of it.
okay, I'll take it from there. The
Cool.
tikkun
Chris is buying. I
or
got one customer so far.
You said that once all the love, but there I threw up a little bit. But maybe I just want to feel good, feel like I'm good. I can sit on my couch and I'm fulfilled. That's what I really want.
the
Kind of.
the
Unless you get the
tikkun
virus.
the tikkun tikkun is a harsh word in Hebrew, but what it means literally is correction, right? And what's a correction? Correction means that you've got something that needs to be adjusted, corrected, calibrated. That's basically what the word means. That's where we are. We're at a point, we human beings, this conscious experience that we call a human, that has to undergo a certain adjustment, an emotional, a calibration. What is that calibration? So that's where things get a little tricky. We all of our development, all of human development, we are thinking about it as a physical process happening within time and space. And as even from the
Yes.
perspective that Seth described, it's billions of years until matter takes on different forms, and new kind of connections are being made between atoms to come up with a new kind of molecule. Boom, it happens in the belly of stars billions of years ago, and all of a sudden there's oxygen, which didn't exist first, right? And billions of years forward until you have like multicellular organisms. One of them is human beings, and we develop for 200,000 years or so, and so forth. Like talking about, Homo sapiens and so forth. Okay, that's also a physical understanding, a story that we tell ourselves about what reality is and how we came to be. But that too happens inside our emotional understanding of reality. Meaning that is how we explain reality to ourselves. That is how we explain to ourselves what we are and how we came to be. It's not bad, except that it's also coming from a linear understanding, a classical understanding of reality. We just said in the beginning of the show, from a spiritual perspective, all times exist at once. All that existed before existed once. How is this possible? How is this possible, and what does it mean about the calibration, the correction that we have to go through? That's the correction. The correction is to change our perception of reality, to come to feel ourselves not as material beings separated from each other and from the rest of nature that evolved within time and space for billions of years. That is a certain level of consciousness that we exist in initially. The correction of human perception is to rise to a higher, to a more complete understanding of reality by accessing by the frequency, getting into resonance with the frequency of that thought that holds all of time and all of space. Now,
wait, so correction is the perception? Correction is a correction of the perception. That's what a person's going.
Exactly. That's what we are going through.
Right. Most of the time we're just like, fix, please give me more money. We're like, please let me meet a good person in my life. We're like, please, like, let me do right. Like, it's all about just like fix this carbon. Please fix this protein. Like,
right.
Please
arrange this matter.
I promise I'll do this if you just get me more money this month. I'll just arrange the matter.
And what does a Kabbalist see as a correction process? Or what is the Kabbalist's plea or request or wish in life? It is always to rise above my current reason, my current perception. To go above what I can currently perceive until I match myself to that frequency of the total frequency of nature that connects all of reality. As long as I see some part of myself, some part of my emotions, desires, intentions as misaligned with the whole of reality, I still have correction to go through. The ultimate goal,
match.
The ultimate goal is to, as if like a piece in a puzzle, to get to a state where I am completely connected to all of reality. Now that's a whole process. It's a whole adventure. In that there is something called the exiting the self, or annulment, or there's all kinds of words that Kabbalists use.
Slow down.
Okay.
Just push pause for a second. Come right back to this, but
Okay.
to bring it really close to home. Nullification of myself, exiting myself. If I'm an ant, for example, and there's a million ants that are building something, or if here comes the animal examples again. It's just so easy. If I'm a firefly,
so great.
Or if I'm those starling birds,
firefly. That's a good one.
The starling birds that are all moving.
I don't
together.
care what it is, as long as he talks about animals. It's so awesome. It's just great.
I'm not thinking
100%.
about myself as a starling bird when it comes time to do all of the, when the 1,000 of them turn at one time, exiting myself. And this is please, I'm going to continue in a second, but to build that up, this is actually we're someplace we can be super optimistic. We're already in this network, in this field that's moving us in the right way. If I get
Mm-hmm.
out, if I'm able to actually
Oh.
get out of myself and enter into it, I feel those frequencies that are arranging us in a
Yeah.
perfectly harmonious way. And we don't have to rely on classical physics that I need to raise tons of money and elect this politician and make all this. Everyone will be arranged. The
Mm.
bad ones will be pushed out and transformed, and the good ones will be brought in, and everything will harmonize naturally. And actually, as we remove the veils, like we discussed,
Mm-hmm.
we'll discover it all is already.
Already in harmony, exactly. But we're just now experiencing reality from from a broken perspective. That's why we see reality as it is, and with all its suffering
Mm.
and the conflicts and the disharmony, because we're looking at reality. It's not just looking; it's we're experiencing reality. We take reality in through a very limited broken filter. That's that,
And we're
that
constantly reaffirming it too.
constantly, it's very interesting if you look at neuroscience work that is doing can't remember there's a specific researcher that has an interesting TED talk you can listen to, but anyway, there's a bunch of neuroscience today talking about how even the perception of the body, like the sense of what is called in psychology body ownership, like it's the in cognition it's called body ownership, like there's just the feeling that I have a body and it moves about in space and all that. This is a process that is constantly that we're constantly reaffirming, like Chris said. We're constantly making sure this is the case. This is why you can experience very different things in different situations. Like a phantom limb is a situation that happens with people,
Mm.
or there is the famous like rubber hand experiment where you tap someone's like you put a fake hand.
We should
so
show that. Oh, we should
Anyway,
have prepared for that. That's cool to see.
yeah. Okay, those who know it, or those who don't can look for it. I don't want to take all the time for this, but where were we? The
Reaffirming body perception.
Before that, yeah. So anyway, it's the correction of perception.
Broken perception.
Yeah, we're in a broken perception, and we're constantly every day, every second of your day, from the moment you wake up. By the way, when you go to sleep, it's a little different. You allow yourself to reorganize things differently because we're less in control. We're not in a conscious control. Anyway, but from the moment you wake up, every second of your day, you keep as if telling yourself the story of reality, and that this is what I am, this is what is happening. I am a body that lives and dies, separated from the rest of the other people, and I have to make sure that I fulfill the needs of this body, and so on and so forth.
And everyone else around you also has that thing, and that's also getting into you and entering you.
What is resonance for people? For people who
Stop.
Okay.
Don't define resonance yet. I saw a really cool example. Ready?
Okay.
Check this out.
Okay.
Resonance. This guy, I saw kind of like this guy explaining it a little bit, and he boiled it down very simply. Resonance, first of all, is talking about vibrations. He's already talked about vibrations, right? So vibrations just means it has an equal. I'm just going to use this. This has an equilibrium point. That's the equilibrium, right? It's not moving. I move it like that. It moves off and back into equilibrium, off and back into equilibrium.
So it
right?
oscillates.
So it oscillates, right? So if I'm vibrating something, let's say that this has its own vibration, right? So, and I'm hitting it at whatever vibration I want to. I'm just kind of, I have my own vibration, my own oscillation, and that's how it's acting on whatever it is. Resonance means that I discover I can acquire that same frequency, right? And so whenever I find the frequency of that object, then I'm constantly moving it and it's going with me. So it's not going like, it's not moving in all signs of different directions. It has this kind of dance that it does. And the pattern is over and over. So you're resonating, your hand is resonating with, my hand is resonating with that object. Before it was just kind of just its own vibration. It doesn't have it, but you resonate with it, and then you see that the object acts in a different way. So that's how we tried to kind of explain it.
Very
That
nice. Very nice.
you put in
Simple,
a
tangible
vibration, you get
example.
out of vibration. Yeah,
Chris
totally.
just explained to us why we live miserable lives because we're all
No, he didn't. Okay, go ahead.
he did because we don't realize that when I think that thought, you're swinging this way and I have this negative thought about you, I'm banging into you. You feel something. Someone else, all day you're in the traffic, you're thinking a negative about that. You're thinking a negative about that one. You're isolating yourself from all of the other things that are harmoniously happening. And not only you, everyone else is just thinking about how to get through the day and how to get through traffic. And everyone is not resonancing with each other. And this creates a world where the medical system seems broken and the schools seem broken and there's multiple wars going on and everyone's getting sick, right? Because there's
Also known as no one cares about anyone else, right? Or something like that.
We're in one harmonious system, but each of the parts is not behaving harmoniously towards the rest of the parts. And thus we have a sick society, a sick system. But also in this, never before has a creature been able to understand how to become through this experience, through this opposite kind of version of all being integrally, harmoniously connected. We come to discover that this is how it really is, that there is this thing that we can all resonate with. Through all of this opposite banging, we start to feel that there is this other way. And
right.
That's why it's not as if somebody sinned in the past and today we're paying for the sins of this and you're not doing morally that or ethically that. No, it's just the field. And we need to learn and help each other to stay in resonance with that field. And as we do it, others feel it more and it's easier for others. And this is why we don't need to rely on classical physics. And this is why a very, very small group of people can affect the entire world towards good and help change the scale towards good for everyone.
Check out just check out what I have a quote here from our teacher. This is what this is one of the some of the things that are being said and discussed and experienced in a Kabbalah gathering, right? This is from the Kabbalah convention that we just had days ago, right? So here's just a quote and a half from one of the lessons. We have to aim towards unity between us, and then from the unity we inspire all the hearts to go into resonance. And by doing that, we influence also those that are not in it. There are laws of resonance that if one part begins to work together with the others, then the others begin to work together as well. This is critically important. It's called one shall help his friend. We have to use these laws of nature, which all emerge from the law of resonance. And so was that clear enough? I was translating it on the fly from Hebrew. Was
amazing.
The source.
I would have you read it again if you are so inclined.
There's a bit more of that. Anyway, so what are we doing in a Kabbalistic group, essentially, or in a Kabbalistic setting, right? We use, I would say, the texts, the Kabbalistic sources, as like a tuning fork. Like a tuning fork is that a good? You're a musician, Seth. We use it like a standard towards which we try to calibrate our hearts. And so To go into resonance between us means that a group of people are working to awaken their hearts in the same direction. This is also called in Kabbalah intention. What goes into resonance is not our bodies, it's not the movements of our hands, it's the direction of our hearts, meaning what we truly wish for, what we aim to wish for. This is called our intention. We calibrate the direction of our hearts to a connected reality. And Kabbalists describe that reality to us and the calibration process and the oscillations. Because love or connection, it sounds so, okay, so just meditate on love. That's what Kabbalah is about. No, this is not a simple thing, because the moment you try to do that, you begin to oscillate. Because your ego steps in, your sense of self, your conscious sense of self steps in, which is detached from that frequency of connection, and then you begin to oscillate. And these oscillation between your ego, your sense of self, and the sense of connection with the others, the aim, the intention of connection with the others, moving between this and that, we also call it left and right, or up and down, or ins and outs. And this is the kind of oscillations that you begin to experience in a very, very tangibly and very vividly and deeply in
Ask anyone who was
Kabbalistic
there.
settings.
Did they feel the same thing? Everyone felt the same thing. You
What's
don't need
really
word-
cool-
I don't need words to describe it.
It's even, the law of this law of resonance is so evident in Kabbalistic gatherings. It's so cool to see that even people who are very new to this practice, you could have people who are doing this and studying this and going deep into the texts for years and years, like us, and you can have people who just came in and for the first time in a Kabbalistic gathering. They'll feel some of the effect. They'll feel some of get a glimpse of that sense of mutual oscillation with the rest of the people internally. This is the amazing thing. You actually get to, especially in these settings, in a Kabbalah gathering, you get to experience
Especially physically. Yeah.
that kind of hearts vibrating together. These oscillations. You see how you're beginning to move left and right and left and right. Yeah. Anyway, there's one.
Friends,
we gotta conclude. Yeah, we're at the end here. I'm gonna try to find one.
And
last,
that's how we
last
save the
quote.
world.
You have another quote?
It's as simple. I'm gonna try to find it. You're gonna stall for me for 20 seconds until I find it.
We found these books came to us from the future. The Kabbalists
Ooh.
wrote these books
I like that.
from
Books that came to us
from
from
this
the
state
future.
where they already attained that. We should be very optimistic. All of the negative kind of things that we see and feel, this part of the oscillation, but now also we have this other side that we're talking about here, and we should be hopeful and we should help each other, because everyone's going to oscillate back towards that left side, and we need to help each other come back to the right side. And again, we'll start vibrating more faster than the bats and longer and bigger than the elephants, even, because you, my friend, are more than a bat and more than an elephant. And we have a lot of potential in us. And now is the time. We don't have to wait anymore. The Kabbalists even call this the last generation, the times of the Messiah. We're at a period that it can happen now. We can reach this now. We all understand these concepts now. Simple people like us can even understand these concepts already. So now is the time for us to make it happen. We're all counting on you. We're gonna leave, and we're gonna see you next week, Thursday, 2 p.m. Eastern
And-
here. Well, it's Saf, if you have the quote.
Yes,
let's
I'll
end
leave
with that.
you. We will leave you with a quote. This is, I think, in the same lesson. This was like a really peak moment where we all felt it together with our teacher. And he said this: ultimately, what we have to do is build this one collective heart that is sensitive enough to perceive the Creator. So that's really what we're working to do with these mutual vibrations or oscillations between us. We're upgrading our perception of reality to something beyond this world. Yeah. So till next week. Yeah.
Yep.
Ooh, we're still getting
Oh,
bad
no.
audio. I mean, we hear
Yeah.
it, but it's bad audio. Why is it?
Oh, it was like that in the last show too.
Yeah, broadcasting from here, I'm getting a problem. Chris, can you broadcast? Can you do the song?
Yeah, send it.
I'll send it here.
I mean, I'll try it. Just make sure you unshare sound. All right, we're gonna do this super fast. Clicked. Go. Okay. Share screen. Got it. Got it.
In the
We're
meantime,
gonna
I'll
do
just
stereo.
say that it feels so great to see all this chat bursting with vibrations, bursting with good intentions and good vibe. All right, nice. I mean, we hear it.
Good? Okay.
Wake up.
Wake up from this nightmare we've been facing.
Oh, that was the link. Sorry, I pressed the link. Oh, it's just a link to the playlist. My bad.
Wake up
All right.
from the hatred and
Thanks, guys.
separation. Wake up. We got to cover it with love. Wake up. Wake up. Tell me what is happening with our nation. Wake up. It seems our union's been overrun. Wake up. Wake up. We got a sticky situation. Wake up. The time is now to get stuck on love.